Some of the most powerful stories are the ones that feel both ancient and completely new at the same time. In this explainer, we're going to dive into a modern myth that gets right into the heart of the delicate balance between stillness and chaos, and reveals how one can actually be woven into the other to create something amazing. All right, so let's set the scene. Our story starts in a place of just absolute quiet. We're at the very top of the world, where the cosmos feels so close you could almost reach out and touch it. And it's here that we meet our first cosmic force. This is Vyom. Now, the way the source material describes him, he is a being of deep, profound stillness. I want you to just picture him sitting there in quiet meditation for ages, so patient that the stars themselves just seem to spin like silver coins right above his head. He's grounded, he's ancient, and he is the very picture of silence. But while Vyom sat there in his earthly silence, something completely different was happening far, far above. In the highest reaches of the atmosphere, a whole other kind of energy was gathering, and a new power was just about to be unleashed. And this is the goddess Vega. But get this, she isn't some kind of villain. She is a pure force of nature, a river of liquid starlight, totally wild and completely uncontrollable. And her energy was just starting to churn and swell, getting ready to leap from the heavens. So here it is, the core conflict laid out for us. On one side, you've got Vyom, all about stillness and patience, totally bound to the earth. And on the other, you have Vega, pure wildness and raw power, belonging to the sky. It's that classic setup, right? The irresistible force about to meet the immovable object. And yeah, you guessed it, these two opposing forces were on a collision course. But not just with each other. The fragile world below was caught right in the middle. The stakes were about to get incredibly high. And from his mountain peak, Vyom opens his eyes. He sees Vega gathering all her strength, and he just knows what's about to happen. He understands that if she were to strike the ground with all her might, the mountains themselves would literally crumble into sand. I mean, her power wasn't just immense, it was cataclysmic. The very structure of the world was at risk. So the question is, what now? How could anything withstand that kind of force? How could the fragile earth possibly survive a direct impact from a river made of starlight? And this is where the story gets really interesting. Vyom's solution wasn't to fight back with equal force. It wasn't about opposition at all. It was about reception, a completely different way to handle overwhelming power. So what does he do? In this incredible moment of power, Vyom unties the heavy knots of his hair. He just lets it fly free, spreading out like a huge, dark net that covers the entire sky from one horizon to the other. He wasn't building a shield, he was weaving a catch. And then the moment came. With a roar that the story says literally shook the stars, Vega throws herself from the heavens. She comes down like a pillar of white foam in silver light, falling with the weight of 1,000 oceans, aimed right at the heart of the world. And she comes crashing right into the waiting wood. Just before she could shatter the earth, that web of hair catches her. But the thick locks don't just stop her, they absorb her terrible force, winding all around her rushing currents. Her wildness wasn't destroyed, it was contained. But see, that moment of impact, that wasn't an ending, not even close. It was a profound act of creation. The collision of these two massive forces was about to give birth to something entirely new. Just look at this. On the left, we see Vega's chaotic descent, a torrent of pure, destructive power. And then on the right, you see the result, a peaceful, life-giving river valley. Vyom didn't defeat the chaos, he simply gave it a new shape. And it didn't take long. The first drops of that contained energy touched the dry soil. A river began singing through the valley, and where there was once just barren rock, green life started bursting from the earth. The world wasn't broken, but reborn. And Vyom, well, his work was done. He returned to his seat of silence, and from then on, he became known as the Weaver, the one who could take a destructive torrent and patiently weave it into a life-giving stream. Ultimately, when you really think about it, this story isn't just about gods and mountains. It's a powerful metaphor for turning chaos into creation. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought. What untamed forces in our own lives, if we met them not with resistance but with reception, could be woven into something new and life-giving?